Hello, I hope you're having just a great day today. Today I want to take a look at Lawrence Watt Evans's The Lure of the Basilisk, a fantasy short story which is very important in my own development as a fan of fantasy. I really like this series, the Lords of Dus series. It's very impactful for me. I'm going to link you to a video that I did called My Appendix N, where I go over like the 10 most influential works for me and fantasy in this series. Book of 4 is in my Appendix N, so I'll link you to that so you can check it out later on in the comments below. But I read this stuff early on. As I was growing up, it was written in the early 80s, this Book of 4. And it was very influential in my life. Now, Lure of the Basilisk is the first novel that Lawrence Watt Evans writes. And it shows. It's not the best novel that I've ever read, but it's not bad. You read it, and you're like, okay, let's see what else is coming down the pike. And I'm going to be giving it a 6 out of 10. I think it's pretty solid, pretty strong. What's going to wind up happening is that we're going to be introduced. Our main character is going to be an overman in this fantasy world, and he's going to be adventuring to a place called Skeleth, which is part of a human kingdom. Now, overmen are larger, by about 2 feet larger than your average man. They're furry. They have no nose, just a slit here on their face. They have red eyes instead of normal eyes. They don't have an iris, just red eyes. They have instead of a normal pinky, they have a second opposable thumb right here that allows like a great deal of manual dexterity. So they have weapons and stuff that's specifically created for them. There was racial wars that happened about 300 years prior, which drove the overmen out of the human kingdoms north into the northern wastes, where they've survived for a few hundred years. One of their leaders is Garth, who is our main character and protagonist for the 4-book series. Garth is seeking to grow his immortality. He's gone to one of the oracles, the wise women of Ordunan, up in the northern wastes, and he decides that he wants to grow his impact on the world around him. They tell him reluctantly that in order to do it, he should serve the Forgotten King, who is found in the King's Inn in Skeleth, which is one of the great human forts on the border between themselves and the Overman territory of the north. So he heads down to Skeleth in the first couple of chapters. Skeleth is a ruin of what it used to be, and has definitely been derelict. Once the war ended, Skeleth's need to exist has also ended too, and so it's been dying a very slow death for probably hundreds of years. It's got lots of ruins. Its city watch is just a few farmers that are being paid to be city watchmen. They have no major training. There's a baron there that's very much a dictator who's trying to do something to grow the territory, unfortunately. Anyway, he goes to the King's Inn. He meets the Forgotten King, who's this ancient man who sits in the King's Inn in these tattered yellow robes, which is an homage to the King in Yellow, and the Forgotten King by Robert Chambers. And the Forgotten King will give him the quest to see if he is worthy of going to Mormarath, which is a city far to the east, and bringing back the first living thing that our protagonist finds in the crypts underneath the city of Mormarath. And that's his quest. So he's going to go out there and bring back the first living thing that he finds from that thing. Now, we're going to find out in chapter 5 that the only living thing in the crypts beneath it is a basilisk, which is why that's where the title of the story comes from, The Lure of the Basilisk. So basically, he has to find and bring back a nasty basilisk. And this basilisk is a lot more powerful than a normal basilisk. So it's a really powerful basilisk. And that's the story. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Again, 6 out of 10. I read it when I was a kid. It's very influential on me. It's for adults, but it was one of the earlier things that I read when I was a kid for adults, and it's definitely stuck with me. Now, this story feels like a prelude to the next 3 books, which would feel much more tightly wound together. And so it feels a little bit like The Hobbit, and then the next 3 books feel like The Lord of the Rings to me. They're much more tightly wound together. They're a lot more things are happening in those books. They're a lot more fleshed out. It's really kind of a tight trilogy, and this is not a tight part of the trilogy. It feels more like the prelude to the trilogy. So Lords of Basilisk, if you like it, you're going to really like the next book, because and you read the next book. The second book is going to reward you because it's going to be so much better. In fact, the next book is actually my favorite book by Lawrence Watt Evans. My favorite book in the series, and is one of my favorite books of all time in the fantasy genre. I love it so much. It's very influential on me. And so anyway, but that's neither here nor there. This is the first novel written by Lawrence Watt Evans, The Lure of the Basilisk. There you are. It's a fun novel. I read it again while I was at vacation for spring break. I knocked it out in a day. It took me less than 4 hours for me to read it. It's about 220 pages long in this novel, which again is really, really short. So I was able to knock it out pretty quickly in vacation over spring break. And I have been going, I took actually the entire Lords of Dus series with me, and I read 2 books, the first 2 books in 2 days over spring break. And so there you are. Now I did enjoy it. It's really fun. I've been going back and rereading some of the classics that I read when I was a kid as a part of this channel, and seeing if they're worth me giving to you. When they're not, I haven't. I've been skipping them, like Richard A. Nack's stuff in the Dragon world that he created. But this stuff is, and this stuff has stood the test of time. It's the first novel by the guy, so give him some credit. He's still 6 out of 10, which is better than a lot of people's better, 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th books. So you got to give him, it's okay. It's not, the fleshed out, well developed, rich tale the next 3 books are going to be. And that's okay. It's the prelude. It gets you warmed up, it gets you introduced to the world, it gets you introduced to Garth, the Overman, our main point of view character, and you'll enjoy it. It's a fun novel. And it was published by Del Rey, which was one of the big publishers during the day. And Del Rey is a big publisher. When Del Rey publishes something, it tends to be really high quality, to my mind at least. So it is published by Del Rey. And there you are. That's Lawrence Watt Evans's The Lure of the Basilisk. So there you are. I'll leave you to it. Have you read it? What did you think of it? Did you like it or dislike it? Did you agree or disagree with my take on it? Did you think it was better than 6 out of 10 or worse than 6 out of 10? I would be more than happy to engage whatever your take, whatever your opinions, whatever you want to talk about in taking a deep dive into in the novel itself. Now, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow, after all, in fantasy, science fiction, and horror. And finally, hey, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're being pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I really appreciate it. So thanks again, and have a great day.